Welcome to the This Week I'm Into podcast. I'm your co-host, Pete Tyler. This week, we're talking about amusement parks. I'll have my friend from grad school on later on in the episode, Alex Hruby. But right now, I am with my friend and co-host, Paul Imbragulio. Paul, how are you doing?
I am doing absolutely wonderful, Hans. For all of our video listeners, try to tell who was talking at the beginning because I've been working on my accents.
Yeah, that was not even close. That was so delayed in every aspect. All right. Maybe you're actually pretty good.
It's actually funny because it's just me today, but I'm doing both me and Hans's part.
That's amazing.
I'm doing great though, Hans. Thanks for asking.
So, Paul, yes, Paul. What are we talking about today? Amusement parks. Thank you, Paul.
I'm not sure which one of us is talking anymore. Am I just a ventriloquist dummy and Hans is my puppet master?
I think that's exactly right. And Paul, we're like so off track already. I want to start off this episode. Let's get into interesting questions here. Paul, what kind of noises do you make on a roller coaster?
A little bit of trickle of pee down my leg.
That's less
If
of a
that's
noise. But
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of imagining myself going over the hump. I don't think I'm that much of a screamer. If anything, I feel like the screamers on roller coasters are a little forced.
Oh, really? Maybe you're just like immune to the fear of a roller coaster. Like some people like think that's actually scary.
I just don't think that it's anything like the movie Final Destination where like anything bad's gonna actually happen to you. Like I get scared, right, when you're doing like the drop, like the feeling of like flying out of your seat, but I don't think I'm scared in a way that you're gonna like scream, you know? I think it's fun to scream sometimes on a roller coaster because I feel like you're into it.
Yeah, I got you. It's more of a like a woohoo scream and not
more of a
like,
woohoo.
Not like a blood curdling I'm scared for my life.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
Okay.
Here, I'll do it again. So yeah, I sound like that.
Are you like roller coasters, yay or nay, Paul? Are you down for a good roller coaster or no?
I'm not really a roller coaster guy. I'm more of a water park dude.
Okay.
What about you? You're a roller coaster fan?
I love roller coasters. I really do. Yeah.
I like the little ones, like teacup rides. I just don't know if I love the big drops.
What's the incentive for the teacup ride? That's what I'm wondering. Like
nausea.
Okay.
Shorter lines, I think. It might be a line thing, to be honest.
Well, okay, but like if the teacup ride and the roller coaster had no line, both of them, which one would you go to?
No line? Oh, well, now you're living in a fantasy world. Maybe I'd do a roller coaster if there was no line.
Okay.
But I feel like I mean, you probably see these clips from Disney. I haven't been to Disney in forever. But it's really the only amusement park I've been to, I think. Anyways, the you're waiting like it feels like an hour to 2 hours in a line for like a 2-minute ride. I just don't think the payoff is worth it.
Actually, you bring up such a good point. It's so interesting at Disney. I was going to say annoying, but I'm going to just call it interesting for now. Is when you're waiting in line and there's those like checkpoints and it's like you are 75 minutes away from the ride. And like, yeah, you're literally waiting hours for like a 2-minute experience in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I know they added some things that enabled you to basically do fast pass, but you kind of like put your name down, kind of like a virtual spot saver, which sounds pretty great, right? I think I just get bored because you're just waiting in a line and you can't like leave and do something. But you know, I take it back. I have nothing against roller coasters. They're probably pretty fun. I think it's the line thing that gets it for me. Okay. The amusement park as an entire experience, I think, is a lot of waiting.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Are you pro amusement park or are you anti amusement park?
I'd say I'm pro. I only go in certain circumstances. I've been to like a Halloween thing at Universal before. And I actually didn't even ride any roller coasters. I just did like a haunted house kind of deal and kind of walked around the park. And I thought that was fun enough.
Yeah. What is your like, in general, what is kind of your experience with amusement parks?
My relatives used to live by Disneyland in Anaheim, California. So we used to go there, I feel like every once in a while as a kid, like every couple years. And then, you know, I've been to the occasional Universal And then I think the only time I was really let loose as a kid was at Kanji. You might actually know this because I think it's in Spokane. There's a amusement park called Silverwood. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I've actually never been to Spokane.
Oh, okay.
Besides the airport, I should say.
Okay. I it might be called Silverwood. You get to
Okay.
go in band in the 7th grade at my middle school. There was like a little performance thing that you had to do, but you also just got to spend the entire day at this amusement park.
Oh, okay. So like doing your little performance was the price you had to pay to get into the amusement park.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
But that I mean, I feel like I've been to a couple, but I don't go like
Yeah.
super regularly. It's not something that like I said, it's not something that I strive to go out to.
I gotcha. I'm totally in the same place as you, Paul. We were definitely not like I've been to a handful, but we were not like a every year kind of family. But I have been to Epcot, which I really enjoyed when I was young. I went to Animal Kingdom.
Ooh.
Yeah, so both Disney World themed.
That's the one in
parks.
Florida, right?
Yeah, both of those are in Florida.
Oh, you went during our spring break, right? In college?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. In our spring break, sophomore year, we went to Daytona.
Yeah,
It
classic.
was like such a random spring break. Super fun though, right?
Yeah, I don't know why we ended up there, but I actually didn't go to the amusement park. I bailed on that. So if that says anything,
That's right.
Eric and I, one of our other friends, just stayed at the beach and ended up at Bike Week in Daytona instead of going to the amusement park. I will only comment that I saw a couple furries, and I don't know how that compares. But
Oh my god. Okay. Well, while Paul and our friend Eric, while they were admiring some motorcycles, me and a couple others rented a car. We drove over to Orlando and went to Universal Studios. And I think that was the first time I've been to an amusement park as an adult. And it was actually really fun. I actually really enjoyed it. We hit roller coasters really hard. Shout out like the Hulk coaster at Universal. That was like a really good one. But that really cemented for me that I was like, yeah, I actually really do enjoy roller coasters. The feeling when you drop and your stomach just like lifts. You know what I'm saying?
I think that there's some science behind that.
I love it.
Have you heard that? I think that there's like this level of, I don't want to call it anti-gravity, but like the opposite of like the feeling of being lifted. And there's some kind of like proportion to how like steep the coaster is to like how much you feel lifted. That's like exciting. They've like determined
okay.
is like a good amount of like lift out of your seat to make you kind of feel like fluttery.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's completely new to me, but I totally buy into that because I am a roller coaster enjoyer. Like when I feel that drop, like I
That's definitely the
consider
best
that
part.
very fun. Yeah, yeah, for sure. The drop is the best part, more so than like being upside down in a loop de loop.
Okay, so I thought I had never done a loop-de-loop coaster, Hans, but I actually just remembered that I have done it, and which is super lame. It's actually at that Silverwood or whatever the band trip was.
Okay.
I had this girlfriend at the time, and I was just such a wuss. I didn't really want to go on any roller coasters, but basically, I had to be like handheld by my girlfriend through this entire like line just to go on a coaster that had like one loop de loop. Like I was such a loser that I actually
Oh,
yeah, she had
little
to drag me
Paul.
on that. I know. Can you
Little
imagine me looking
Paul.
exactly the same but chubbier in the 7th grade, getting dragged around by a girl just to go on a roller coaster?
Yep, I can imagine that. It actually that was no problem at all.
Not
and I
hard.
imagine that. But yeah, I mean, I definitely love roller coasters. I feel like I've experienced a couple roller coasters. I feel like my first roller coaster was as part of like my travel soccer team growing up. We would play in Las Vegas every once in a while. And with that Las Vegas tournament, we would go to like the New York, and they have like a roller
Oh
coaster.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It goes through the hotel. And I think that was the first roller coaster I did, and I actually loved it. Like,
Have you ever been on one of those like old rickety roller coasters, like the wooden ones?
I'm not sure I have. I'm also not sure I trust those.
Yeah, I think that was the first roller coaster I'd ever gone on. Well, any like first big roller coaster.
Hmm.
And I do feel like I did have like that final destination fear in those because it feels like they're not smooth like the regular roller coasters. Like as you're going on it, you can like hear the wood going clack 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 clack.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those like I feel fear factor is like the fun part of it.
Whenever I imagine those coasters, I always imagine like a boardwalk or a pier. And I imagine like rickety wood, and I imagine that the roller coaster can just come unhinged at any second. That is my imagination when it comes to those roller coasters, which is why I kind of lean away from riding on those ones.
Yeah, fair enough. What else do you normally do when you're at an amusement park? Like do you like amusement park food or like other I don't know experiences? Or are you
Yeah.
solely a ride guy?
Okay, I'm definitely a ride guy. Roller coasters number one. I would say if I had unlimited money, then definitely I would get into the food at amusement parks because they have like fun and silly foods. But like if I'm paying like $20 for like a really big pretzel, I'm feeling pretty bad about that. Like that is I'm getting negative utils from that. Like that is not fun for me.
Utils, goddamn. You know what I think? That I think amusement park food needs to step up its game and become more like fair food. I think that there's like a dramatic difference.
Really?
Not in
Okay.
what they sell, but the price that you're getting. Like I want a big pretzel, but I don't want it for $20. I want it for $13, which I feel like is a more of a fair price.
A fair price or a fair price?
Both. Good point. I haven't been to an amusement park in a long time.
Okay, yeah.
But like I'm thinking it's like corn, like only like corn dogs, hot dogs, pretzels, and then I bet there's like really fancy nonsense. That's
Yeah.
but I need like an intermediate.
Do you know what's like the weirdest thing you've ate at a amusement or fair?
Oh man, I love the fair. I really recommend the North Carolina State Fair. Way better than the one in Washington.
Oh, for
I found out
sure.
this year. The weirdest thing I ate at a fair, I had some in North Carolina, funny enough. I had some salmon pops, which were pretty good. Basically like little salmon cubes on a stick.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I tried a fried Reese's cup. That wasn't good.
That was not good. That sounds
No,
delicious.
I know. It was like soggy fried. It was not good.
I feel like fried Oreos are such a thing, and I'll say I actually do like fried Oreos.
I don't love Oreos, so I haven't tried them. That's why I tried the fried Reese's.
Fair enough.
I had a chimichanga like style burrito, like the fried burritos, but the inside was bacon mac and cheese. That was gluttonous. If I've ever understood the word gluttony. That was probably
Oh
like
my
the
god.
most disgusting thing. It tasted okay, to be honest with you.
Did you finish it?
Well, come on, dude. Of course I did.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Well, you paid the
fair,
money for it, right?
the
Like you're
fair
gonna
for
finish.
me is like I have to go try so many crazy foods. Like there was like a huge, like banana cream donut, which was like the size of your
Ooh,
head.
okay. Okay.
I'm not like a standard. Like I don't do like the turkey leg. Like I don't do your big corn dogs. Like I try to find like the weird stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
But that's what I want. Like I like
Yeah.
the weird stuff.
Paul, I feel like we would be very complimentary guests at a fair together.
I
amusement
eat and
park.
you do the rides.
Yeah.
We don't hang out at all.
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. Well, Paul, I appreciate all your insight. Do you want to know a little bit about the history of amusement parks?
Can you tell me as a Hans's fun fact? Hans's fun fact. Fun facts with Hans.
So, the history of amusement parks goes way back, right? Okay, it's actually like medieval Europe, but I don't really want to focus on that right now. I actually want to focus, I'm so biased. I want to focus on Chicago. Because
Does Chicago have an amusement park?
no, but we did have the origin of the modern amusement park, which was aka the Chicago World's Fair, which I don't think this is the first time it was brought up on this
No, I
podcast.
don't think so.
Yeah, so okay, anyway, Chicago World's Fair, 1893. There was the invention of the Ferris wheel, right? Famously known.
Wow, I have been on a Ferris wheel before.
Okay, we can thank Chicago for that. But the whole fair was designed to kind of bedazzle the visitors. There was like tons of bright lights. It's where Chicago earned the nickname the White City. It was like very
Okay.
elegant. Yeah.
Sure, that's why.
But to make sure that people really truly spent their time at the fair, there was a huge section in the middle of the Chicago World's Fair that was kind of cut out, and it was dedicated to the services of the guests. So there was obviously the Ferris wheel, which was a lot of fun. There's a lot of exhibitions that you could go to, and you could hang out in this middle block. And this is the place where you would get like your fair food. This is where you could like relax for a second and recharge before you go to more exhibitions. So really interesting. So people kind of credit this setup it was called the Midway of the Chicago World's Fair to the modern amusement park.
Is
So
that why
this
the
is where
airport is named Midway?
yeah, Chicago is like, Chicago's the Midway. So
No, wait, isn't that what your airport's called?
yeah, Chicago. Yeah, airport is one of the airports is Midway.
Oh.
The other is O'Hare. So anyway, there's a huge history of amusement parks, like so much that I was feeling overwhelmed looking at it actually. But I of course wanted to call out Chicago because why would I not? So
Do you know if they still do World's Fairs?
they definitely don't. I mean, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure they don't. Yeah,
I've just heard about them in other cities, but
yeah.
I haven't heard of anything like recently.
I think the closest thing to a World's Fair we have now is the Olympics,
Hmm.
which like you kind of showcase a different city every 4 years, and then they build things, mostly athletic things, but you definitely show off a city. So I don't know. I think it's kind of a relic of the past, considering like how easy it is to travel now. So, but that being said, like
It's just
the
Epcot
Olympics
all the
kinda
time.
yeah, exactly. Okay, Paul, I know you're wondering, all right, you're talking about Chicago, Hans. Like, come on, like, give me something else about the history. Okay, I'll give you something else about the history.
Thank gosh.
Can I set the scene for you?
Please.
Tell me what you would do here. All right. You are a Danish businessman, and the year is
Am I tasty?
1583.
Am I like a jelly Danish?
You're funny. End the podcast right now. Sorry, you are a man from Denmark who practices business. In 1583, you live in Copenhagen. Copenhagen has infamously bad water. Like, there's diseases in all the drinking water. Like, what is
Ugh.
going on? Yeah,
Yucky.
exactly. But you do hear that up north, a little bit north of Copenhagen, there's a freshwater spring where you can get all the delicious, cold, fresh water with no diseases that you could desire.
Okay.
Pretty interesting, right?
I think I know what I would do.
Paul, tell me as a businessman, what would you do?
I would start the Nestle company and I think I would package it and sell it to people for higher prices than they can afford.
Okay, that's so brutal. That is like not what I was going for at all. Well, Paul, many, many Danish would travel up to the spring to get water, fresh water, with no diseases. So, some smart businessmen eventually came together and figured out, well, like, we could start building attractions around this spring of fresh water. And we could start, offering foods and entertainment, and people would pay while they're getting their water at this fresh spring. And so that is called, and I'm so sorry, I do not speak Danish. Such a theme on this podcast is that I do not speak other languages. The Raushaftspauken,
Okay, that one sounds pretty good.
or just Bakken for short. So, there you go. That was the original amusement park. They built tons of entertainment and amusement around this fresh spring. So, that's credited as the OG amusement park.
I'm glad that it wasn't Nestle. We hate Nestle.
Yeah, I'm fine with saying we're an anti-Nestle podcast like that. Like we can totally sell ourselves as that. Like I'm good with that. Anyway, Paul, if you had to guess, how many amusement parks exist in the United States? Yeah, putting you to the test here.
600.
Are you kidding me? Did you look this up before?
No?
Approximately 600 amusement parks exist in the United States.
Wow, I'm
That
so
is
good.
insane. Okay.
I'm so impressed with myself. I never thought I'd get one of these right.
I'm actually shocked. No, I feel like every time I ask you to guess a number, you're actually so close. Like, I'm so shocked. Like,
I think
very impressed, Paul.
McKinsey or whatever needs to hire me. You know how they're always asking those consultants like, how many cell phones are there in New York?
Yes.
I'd be good at it, but I wouldn't have any of the thought process. I just good guessing.
Yeah, I don't know. If you can't show your thought process, they might be concerned, but if you get it always right, then they might just hire you. So, okay, well, Paul, I'm really impressed. So, these 600 amusement parks in the United States, you want to guess how much they make a year? This would be way too difficult, I feel, but
700 million.
they make $25.8 billion a year.
Oh, collectively?
Collectively, I will say that's including Disney, right? I mean, all the Disney theme parks, they're moneymakers. So, just saying, it's a huge, huge industry. But speaking of Disney, Paul, did you know that Disney invented the AVAC trash disposal system? You know?
Is that like the vacuum tubes?
Yes, it is. Yep, it's the tubes that use air pressure, differentials in air pressure, to move trash around. So, this invention by Disney is actually employed by like city governments all the time. So, if there's ever, trash that needs to be moved, or like a public place that gets a ton of trash, and you put it in the trash can and it kind of suctions down and moves the trash elsewhere, you can thank Disney for that.
Oh, thanks, Disney. It's not something I expected to say today.
Thank you, Disney. Very cool. Paul, you're a Formula One fan, aren't you?
Mhm.
Yeah. Did you know that the fastest roller coaster is actually designed after Formula One? It is
Really?
Ferrari themed. Yes.
I've been to the Ferrari factory in Italy.
Have you really?
Yeah, it's super
Did,
cool.
did you go fast?
Well, I did like one of those like sim races.
Okay.
Yeah, but you don't like move, right? You're like stationary in the little fake car.
Was your sim race just like a video game?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay.
It is fun.
Well, speaking of Ferrari, the fastest roller coaster in the world is in Dubai. It is called the Formula Rossa, and it goes about 150 miles per hour. You experience 4.8 Gs, and it's Ferrari themed. So, pretty interesting, right? Like,
That's so fast. Definitely not as fast as F1 cars, but very fast.
yeah. Oh my gosh, I know 150 miles per hour. Like,
To
for a
allow
roller
regular
coaster, like,
people to do that?
I'm guessing there's like a health waiver involved, but
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
but I don't know how they do things in Dubai.
4.5 Gs sounds like a lot.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, like I don't know how they do things in Dubai, so maybe they just let you go. So, would you ride that roller coaster?
I think so.
Okay, you actually would be interested in that one. It seems intense.
Yeah. I think it has such a gimmick though that I think I'd be interested. Like I'd be convinced.
Okay, okay. So I want to say that all my fun facts should come with a grain of salt.
They're just lying.
And this fun fact in particular comes from like rollercoastersfunfact.com or something like that. So,
We all got to start somewhere.
and they stated that it may be hard to believe, but roller coasters were initially developed as a distraction from Satan's temptations. That's how they framed it.
Okay. You need to pick a different source.
Yeah, you think so?
I think there is a limit to what you're spewing.
So the story here, and like again, like take this absolutely with the biggest grain of salt you can. You can't even taste your meal. This is completely salt. But the inventor of the roller coaster, who is named Lamarcus Adna Thompson. The story goes, the inventor of amusement parks was so upset by hedonistic amusements like saloons and brothels that he decided there needs to be some good old family fun that is not a sin in any way. So the story is he invented the modern amusement park, or the modern roller coaster, which was placed in Coney Island, Brooklyn, which is where, now Coney Island is still famous and there's still an amusement park there. So that's kind of the invention of the modern amusement park. So there you have it. There's a little more history for you.
Mimoni days.
Love it.
That's the field at Coney Island, the baseball field, Mimoni days.
Bing
That's
bong.
totally not how you pronounce it. I'm sorry. Bing bong.
Bing bong. That's all my fun facts, and that's been Hans's fun facts.
TM.
Perfect. Well, I'll give a shout out to How to Drink. He does the drink around the world at Epcot. And yeah, if you're an avid listener, this is in fact the second time I've called out that exact same thing. But it's good. Give it a check. Like, I mean, it's fun. Like, How to Drink YouTube channel. He does Around the World at Epcot. It's a lot of fun. Paul's giving me the X. All right.
Thanks,
Anyway,
Hans.
Paul, with all that in mind, let's bring on Alex Hruby after the break. Welcome back, everyone. Joining us now, we have my friend from physical therapy school, Alex Hruby. Alex, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. Alex, thanks so much for coming on. If you wouldn't mind just giving yourself a little introduction and what you're here to talk about today.
Yeah, definitely. So, as Pete said, my name's Alex Hruby. I know him from PT school at Northwestern. I grew up in Nebraska, which is kind of relevant. There's not much to do out there, so my family's always trying to find fun things to do on vacation. So, and then, I moved to Chicago after undergrad. So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, you're here to talk about amusement parks. You've already given a good introduction as to why you might be an enjoyer of amusement parks. Would you mind just giving us a little background, like what got you into amusement parks to begin with, and what has your experience been with them so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my first experience with an amusement park was when I was 7. My parents have always loved them. They pick vacations together to go on them before they had kids. And so they decided that when I turned 7, my sister was 5 and my brother was 3. They're like, this is when we can start going. So we decided to go to an amusement park in Iowa, which was about an hour and a half away. And so at 7 years old, that was my first experience with amusement park rides, all that kind of stuff. And then actually, I was on the phone with my mom for about an hour a week ago. And I was trying to figure out, I was like, hey, Mom, like, I'm going to talk to Pete and Paul about amusement parks. Do you think
Yes.
that I have been to one every year of my life since that first time at Adventureland? And she was like, I don't know. Let's think about it. So we went year by year and we found out that legitimately I have been to an amusement park every single year at least once since I was 7. I'm now 26, except for 2020.
Oh,
Yeah.
It broke the
no.
streak.
COVID ruins everything.
It does. It did. It ruined everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been to 11 unique parks, so 11 different like physical locations. A bunch of those have been Six Flags. 2 of them have been Busch Gardens. But my family, we like almost always integrate an amusement park into our vacations. Like I was spending a summer out in California and my family was moving me out there during high school. And they were like, there's a Six Flags in Los Angeles. Let's just go. And I was like, why not? Let's do it. Let's put it in there. Let's add an extra day in there and go. So, like, we do that kind of thing all the time. If we're traveling, like, we drove to North Carolina once and we stopped in St. Louis and went to Six Flags in St. Louis. Like, we just have to. It's just like, if it's on the route, we're stopping, we're going.
That's lovely.
Amazing. Well, first of all, Alex, thank you for being literally the perfect guest. We literally prepares at least an hour ahead of time of
I
all the
had to.
info.
I had to know. I was like,
That's
that
so
would be so
impressive.
wild. And yeah.
I'm wondering, is the amusement parks with your family on vacation, is this like we're going to X city and while we're there, let's go to an amusement park? Or is it let's go to this particular amusement park that is in X city? Like, do you travel for the amusement park itself?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. So, growing up, my sister and I both played basketball, and a lot of our tournaments were in Kansas City or Des Moines, Iowa. And so, when we would drive down there, we would always take a day and do one of the amusement parks there. There's I will say, like an okay one in Iowa called Adventureland, and that was like our first experience with amusement parks. And so, it's kind of nostalgic for us. So, we would go to that one when we were there. And then there's Worlds of Fun in like the Kansas City area. And so we would go to that one whenever we were down in Kansas City. So anytime we had like a basketball tournament in one of those places, we knew we were going to an amusement park. And then otherwise, like I was mentioning, we went to visit my uncle in North Carolina. Well, we have to drive through St. Louis. There's a Six Flags there. We're going to stop. But then we also have had trips where we did it specifically for the amusement parks. So we took a trip to Orlando. I don't remember how old I was, but the idea was we wanted to go to Disney World because like everyone goes to Disney World, right?
Yeah, of course.
And my parents
Yeah.
they kind of set it up. They were like, like Disney World's more about the experience, not like the rides and everything. And so we were like prepared to go in and like ride all these really fun rides, and they were trying to tell us like that's not the case. So we went to Epcot, and we walked out at the end, and my siblings and I were like, we didn't really like that at all.
Okay, so you're for the rides.
Yes, Disney World's supposed to be like the most magical place on earth, and we're just like, oh, this was not for us.
Like, not enough rides. Like, what is going on?
Like, I'm not here to walk around. Like,
did you go across the street to Universal?
so we actually went to SeaWorld, which I know has a lot of contentious issues about it, but I was there for the rides. I was not there for
They have rides at SeaWorld?
Yes, very good rides.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
We went, and now I remember, so we went in 2010, and it was after they had installed the first inverted roller coaster, so your feet are dangling, the track is above you, and it lifts you up so that you're facing the ground. So if you've ever been to a Six Flags that has like the Superman ride, they have one where, and it's like your Superman. But they have one at SeaWorld, and they opened it in 2009. It's called the Manta Ray, or Manta. So you're like a manta ray flying around. And we just thought that was the most cool, like the coolest thing ever. We're like, oh my God, we're facing the ground. This is wild. Like you're sitting there, and then all of a sudden it like lifts you up like this. And we're like, what is going on? So we did that, and then we drove down to Tampa, and we went to Busch Gardens. And I think that Busch Gardens, out of the 3 parks we went to when we were there, was the best one. Like they have the most rides, the most thrill roller coasters. So if you're going to go to Florida for anything, skip Disney World. Hot take, skip Disney World and go to SeaWorld, Universal Studios, and Busch Gardens in Tampa.
I think that's perhaps the hottest take I've heard about amusement parks ever. Is like, hey, Disney World, it's just not worth it. Just
if you want to walk around and spend a lot of money on food, by all means, be my guest. But pun intended, that was a Beauty and the Beast referral.
Damn, I'm so sorry that went right over my head. Okay, so you're an amusement park purist. You're there for the rides. At 7 years old, and you said your 2 siblings were 5 and 3. You could not have been old or tall enough to ride those rides, right? So did you work up, or are you just a thrill seeker?
So I was at 7 years old. I was tall enough to ride Adventureland's roller coasters. So their minimum height requirement was 40 inches, and I was
That's very tall.
Exactly, and plus I was one of those people that sprouted up early. Like I think I was probably 5'4" by the time I was like 10. So
okay.
I know it's like one of those things, and like, yeah. Anyway, so we're there, and I'm telling my dad, I'm like, Dad, I can't do this. Like roller coaster's big, scary. I can't do it. He's like, no, we're just gonna go on this one. It's easy. There's no big deal. Like we're gonna go on it. You're gonna love it. And I will remember it to this day. It's called the Dragon, and it has 2 loops. And of course, I didn't know that. He's like burying the lead, basically. And so we're in line, and we get up there, and they're like strapping in with like the over the shoulder harnesses. And I'm like, Dad, why are we getting like, I thought this was just going to be like an easy, like go around the park, like almost like a little train thing. He's like, no, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And so we're going, and I'm screaming, like I'm crying, tears down my face. And I get that feeling when I go upside down that I'm almost going to pass out. And I know. And you guys are like, oh my God, this girl is insane. But I love it. I think it's so much fun. And
that's the best part for you.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I love that feeling. Anyway, so I get off the ride. I'm crying. My face is like red. And I'm like, Dad, I want to go again. And at that point, I was sold. I'm like, I love roller coasters. I want to go. And it was also the idea that like me and my dad got to go do something that my siblings didn't. Like all the other rides, it was like the teacups, the bumper cars, like all the boring stuff that my siblings could do because they weren't tall enough to ride the roller coasters. So, yeah.
Paul probably feels called out.
Dude, don't expose me.
He said teacups is one of his favorites, so
I like it. I like the spinning.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not a big roller coaster person, Alex. I'll tell you now.
Oh, well.
They're scary. I'm scared.
Paul probably had that same experience you did where his face was red, but
crying.
He said, no, thank you. You said, I'll go again.
I think also the thing to point out is that I'm afraid of heights. Like you put me so my family, we've gone to the Empire State Building, we've gone to the Eiffel Tower. You put me outside in any of those situations, and I am like shaking, like knees. What is it? Knees weak, arms are heavy. I'm like about to pass out because that feeling of being so high up, unrestrained, just like terrifies me. But something about being in a roller coaster,
But when
being
you're in a
all strapped
Superman
in,
position, fly over the
being
ground.
all
Yeah.
strapped in, like I just love the idea of like modern mechanics and like being able to make something like that so safe. And I trust it. I know a lot of people don't trust it, but I have an engineering background and I trust that stuff. So
It's every sign points to like you should not enjoy roller coasters, but I guess you're just such a thrill seeker that they're great. So
maybe I don't know, cause like don't put me on a motorcycle. Don't like I don't know. It's something about roller coasters.
It's the somewhat safe terror, huh?
Yes, yeah.
okay.
And it's over, unfortunately, it's over in 2.5 minutes, if even that. Sometimes they're way shorter than that. But like, you're in, and no matter how scared you are, that thing's, if you're strapped in, they're not letting you out. You're going, and you're going to be back in 2 minutes. So you'll survive.
Yeah. Alex, I guess I'm not super familiar with like the chains like Six Flags and Busch Gardens.
Mhm.
Is there different rides between the different like Six Flags locations?
Six Flags, they're all pretty similar. There are a few that like they kind of use as a like come to this location. Like they have ones where they're like this is our record-breaking coaster and you can only come to, Six Flags over Texas to be able to do it. But there are a lot of similar ones. Like I'm pretty sure there's maybe like 11 or 12 Six Flags, like something ridiculous like that. And probably half of them have the Batman ride, which was like one of the first just inverted roller coasters where your feet are dangling and the track is above your head.
Oh, okay.
So if you go to any Six Flags, there's like a 50% chance they're gonna have the Batman coaster because they have like the licensing rights to all the DC stuff. So
Hey, that sounds fun. I would do that. I'm a Batman fan, so sign me up for that one.
it's at the Six Flags in Gurnee, like an hour and a half north.
Perfect.
Have you not been to that Six Flags?
Nope, not yet.
Oh, Peter.
I would go. I know. Anyway, Alex, do you have like a particular favorite amusement park, and do you have a favorite ride amongst all the amusement parks you've been to?
Yeah. So favorite amusement park by far is Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. That was one of the ones that my family, we planned a specific trip. It's kind of like the mecca of amusement parks in the United States because it has so many high thrill roller coasters. So we like made a deal with my mom, who does love amusement parks, but just not as much as the rest of us. We're like, okay, you really want to go to Niagara Falls. If we're driving to Niagara Falls, guess what's on the way? The best amusement park in the entire world, pretty much. And so we literally drove to Niagara Falls. They drove from Omaha, Nebraska, picked me up in Chicago, and then we drove to Buffalo, New York, which is ridiculous. So she
That's a
could
heck
see
of
Not
trip.
a short drive.
no. So she could see Niagara Falls. She had to. And then on the way back, we stopped and we spent 3 days at Cedar Point. And my parents splurged and got us the fast passes, which we normally won't do. But we really wanted to make sure we could ride the roller coasters as many times as we could because we didn't know if we'd ever go back. I will probably go back at some point in my life, but they probably won't. So I definitely love that place just because it's got, like I said, it's got like 10 or 12 high thrill roller coasters. Like you have some in certain amusement parks that are just like they're fun. They're more for people who don't enjoy as much of the like huge steep drops and everything. But Cedar Point's got like 6 that have really tall drops, and then they've got like 6 that have the maglev trains that just like throw you out of the station and like you're up like 0 to 60 in a second, like that sort of thing. So we were just bopping around doing it every once in a while. Like we would just go to one and then we're like, should we ride that again? And we had the fast passes. So we would just get out of line, walk back up, and I would feel bad, but we'd walk past people who had been waiting in line for like an hour. And they like knew that we had just gotten on and now we're walking back up to get on again. Yeah.
Like, hey, good to see you again as they're
Yep.
still waiting in line.
Hope you
Oof,
enjoy
yeah.
it. This is my 3rd time.
It
in
was
10
really
minutes.
fun.
Yeah.
It was so fun. We're here again. We're gonna get on twice before you get on once. Imagine that.
Basically.
Do you have a favorite ride out of all the amusement parks you've been to?
Yeah. So surprisingly, my fiance Blake will not let me live this down because I don't enjoy themes for rides. Like, I could care less about a theme surrounding a ride. But my favorite roller coaster as of right now is, I forget the full name of it. It's like Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure or something like that. It's in Universal Studios in Orlando in their like Islands of Adventure park. But that one is by far my favorite because, and I can't spoil it. Like, I need people to go and ride this ride and experience it the way I did. There is something that occurs about halfway through the ride that I did not think roller coasters could do. And so when it happened, I lost it. I was screaming my head off. I get off the ride and I turn to Blake and I'm like, did that actually just happen? Like, did they mechanically make that work?
Oh
And
my
so,
gosh.
yeah, if you must, Universal Studios does do like very nice point of view videos for all of their rides. So you can go online, you can go on YouTube and you can watch it.
You're leaving us on such a cliffhanger here, so I'm like so curious.
I
But
know.
if you
Yeah.
want to know, yeah, I guess you could YouTube
You have
it.
to go.
Yeah, you have to you have to go. But you if you like spoiling things for yourself, you can watch it on YouTube. I would not recommend. It's not the same as experiencing it in person. But I rewatched it just to like remind myself of how I felt. And I was just like, I can't believe they did this. Like, I cannot believe that they made this work. So,
Alex, after this episode, I want to try to guess
yeah. knock
what it
yourself out.
was. Because I have a theory of something that I've always wanted to have in roller coasters, which I won't put in the podcast for spoiler reasons. But if you've
Perfect.
ever played like Roller Coaster Tycoon type games, like it's something that I'd always try to put in. But I don't know if it exists in real life. And I wonder if this is like the moment where
Maybe.
it does actually exist.
Maybe.
Hey, Paul here. I wanted to include the fact that I got that guess wrong in case anyone was wondering. My guess was that the roller coaster like left the track like almost like a jump, but it wasn't possible yet, or at least nobody's figured out a way to make that possible. So I'll keep living my life through video games. All right, back to the episode. Okay, so other than that thing that you won't tell us about, what aspects of a roller coaster do you find the most fun? Like you talked about going upside down. Are there any other
Yeah.
parts of roller coaster you like?
I really love lift roller coasters where they're taking you up a huge hill and then I love the ones where there's like a pause at the top and it's like you don't know when you're going to drop because it's the anxiety of going up the hill. Like, you know where the top is, like, you know that at some point you're going to go down. But then a lot of rides have integrated this like braking system where you stop at the top and either they like dangle you over this 90-degree drop or you're just kind of there until it like the momentum reaches the point where like you're falling over the side. So I love that. I think that is so fun. And I just love the big drop because you get this like feeling in the pit of your stomach when like your body is trying to stay, but everything else is falling. And so you're like out of your seat. And I love that. And they can do it multiple times throughout the coaster. Like, you can have the big drop and then your momentum takes you up another hill and then it's another drop. And like, the more they can do that in one coaster, the more I love it. And so then that's a big part of roller coasters that I like. I also really enjoy the ones that are like winged coasters. So a typical roller coaster, you're like in a car, lap bar, that's kind of what you expect when you think about a roller coaster. Winged coasters, the like mechanism on the rail in the middle doesn't have the seats. The seats are off to the side. And so you're basically like hanging over the side of the rails when you're on the coaster.
Oh.
So yeah, I think that is so fun. So it's kind of taking the idea of like the inverted coaster where your feet are dangling, but instead of the track being above you, it's either right next to you if you're like the two person like in the middle, or like if you're on the outside, like you're just like free air here and a person, usually my sister, next to me, and then like that's the roller coaster. And so that's one of my favorite types of rides is when you're just like off to the side, just like flying through the air, and then they twist and turn you and everything. So Paul's face right now is so he's like, I can't believe this girl loves this stuff.
It just sounds so like not good for me. I'm glad you love it though. I mean, it looks fun. I wish I liked it, but there's just something about it that I can't see myself doing. This is terrifying. You know, I do like the ones that are. Maybe it's just like the fear factor of like seeing what you're about to do, right? Like you're talking about, like you get to the top, like you go down. I remember, and I know these are at Disney when I was like a little kid, so they're probably not that crazy roller coasters. But I like the ones that were like in the dark, because then you didn't know where you were going, so you just like kind of get thrown around.
Yeah.
And they're also not that scary because it's Disney.
Yeah, they have one ride like that at Six Flags here in Illinois. It's called the Dark Knight. It's like indoors and it's very compressed. Like it's just a lot of like you do 90-degree turns very quickly. I personally hate that because I hate being like yanked around. I don't enjoy riding wooden roller coasters. Another hot take. Like a lot of amusement park roller coaster purists, they're like wooden roller coasters are the nostalgia, like they love them. But something about like just being like thrown around, I feel like I'm gonna get like cervical problems when I get off the ride. I'm like,
oh no.
exactly.
That's a
and
worry
I'm like,
that specifically you two have.
and I just like don't understand why people enjoy that. I love the steel ones because it's just like a smooth ride. You're just like I said, you're just flying through the air and you don't have to worry about getting back or neck problems by that.
Well, wood ones just feel like they're falling apart anyways.
Yes, that freaks me out too.
Yeah, there's another element of fear with the wood ones as
Yeah.
well. I will never trust the wood roller coasters at like piers or boardwalks.
I know.
It's like that have been there like this roller coaster is 100 years old. I'm like, that's not a selling point for me.
Right? Like you're by the ocean. There's a lot of salt water around. Like that's gonna erode wood quickly.
Sure. Alex, I love hearing about the good amusement parks, but equally, I think I love hearing about the bad amusement parks too. Have you ever been to like amusement park where you're like, that was actually not very good, or been on a ride where you're like, that was actually a terrible ride?
Yeah, I have. And so this is also something I talked to my mom about. I was like, do I even include this one that we went to? We don't go to many bad ones. I'm going to be honest. Like we do our
Okay,
research
good.
ahead of time. But my brother really wanted to go to the Wisconsin Dells. And if you don't know what that is, it is the water park capital of the US in Wisconsin. Yeah, makes so much sense, right? Anyway, they have like the highest number of water parks per capita of like this area. But they also have this amusement park called Mount Olympus. It's like connected to like a water park that has to do with Poseidon. And they have some of the jankiest rides I have ever been on. And we were so excited too because we're like, they have this one roller coaster called, I think, Hades, and it goes under their parking lot. And we're like, oh my God, that's so sick. Like you're just riding and then all of a sudden, like you're under the like pavement, like you're just
Yeah.
underground.
I feel like they nailed the theme there at the
Right.
very least. Yeah.
Right. And the reality is that's all it does. That's all. You go up a hill, you go down, you go under the parking lot. It like goes back and forth, it weaves a little bit, and then you're done. And we got off the ride and we were just like, I can't believe how much money we paid to get into this park. And that's their biggest attraction. So we were very disappointed by that. I think they had like maybe one or two other roller coasters and then like some go-karts or something. And we left that day and we were like, that was such a waste of time and money. That whole trip, like, I don't want to be a hater, but I don't like water parks.
So it seems like you shouldn't have gone to a water park for a roller coaster. Did your brother, who likes the water parks, at least have a good time, or did you not even go to the water park part?
So he did enjoy the water parks, but like my sister and I were kind of like, Ryan, we're never doing that again. We are never planning a trip around a water park again. We just can't. And he agreed. So we have never once done that.
His older sisters bullied him into that, is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. And I'm proud of it. Yeah, so that was a terrible park, terrible ride. There are just like some rides at amusement parks, like I was saying, where they're just kind of like fillers. Like you have to have some coasters, some rides where people who don't love being dropped from 250 feet in the air can still ride something. And so those ones will go on because like we're not going to go to a park and not try to ride all the roller coasters. But we'll get off and we'll be like, yeah, that was okay.
Okay.
Whereas some people then like you're on the ride and there are like other people screaming. And I was like, oh, they're having such a great time.
Are you a screamer on roller coasters?
Define
If you
scream,
wait,
like,
you can act it out for us because Hans
Oh,
made me do it
perfect.
earlier.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So you're going over a
I'm-
drop.
Yep. So I'm a big like hands off. Like if lap bar, whatever, over the shoulders, if we're going down a hill, my hands are up. And I'm usually like, whoever's next to me, my sister, my fiance, whoever, I'm like holding their hand up in the air. I'm like, you are not holding on. Like, we're in this together. And so our hands up. And I guess I like yell. I don't know if scream is the right word, but I'll be like hands up and I'll be like, ah.
Okay.
I'm not like
screams of
screaming.
fear.
I'm not like screaming bloody murder, but
I
like
gotcha. Yeah.
I'm like yelling. I'm like trying to vocalize how much fun I'm having. Yeah. And my other fun thing that I like to do, I don't buy the pictures that they take on the roller coasters, but I love if I've been on one before and I know when the picture is coming to like do something funny. So like
Screw with someone
Classic.
else's photo.
I've like acted like I've passed out before. I've like made a funny face. I've like covered up whoever's sitting next to me. I've like covered up their face, like stuff like that. So
Alex, it sounds to me like it's horrible to be your partner on a roller coaster.
oh, absolutely. Which is funny because my mom is always begging me. She's like, sit next to me, sit next to me. Nikki's so mean to me on roller coasters because my sister's actually worse to sit next to.
Okay.
She'll like poke you and like pinch you if she doesn't think you're having fun. So it's usually us two that have to sit next to each other. So then no one else gets harmed.
This family takes amusement parks so seriously. Like,
Yeah.
you better be having fun, and I'm gonna force you to have fun if you're not having fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Be
And-
careful, Hans, if you go with Alex.
Yeah.
I invited a bunch of people. So my mom and my sister came to visit and we were going to Six Flags here in Illinois. And I invited a bunch of people. I was like, hey, like if you guys want to come up, like we have a minivan, we can drive. But I prefaced it, and this is a big thing with my family too, is that we get there when the park opens and we stay till the park closes.
Ooh,
We are,
big day.
yeah.
Okay.
We are taking our entire day. We are there the whole time. We're not sparing any minute. So we'll get there before the gates open, like 15 minutes. We'll get up there when it opens. And we always go to the back of the park because majority of people, they're going to go on the first ride they see. At least that's our thinking and that's our experience. So we're going to the back of the park, which is usually where one of the bigger roller coasters is. So we do that. We can usually ride it once or twice before a big line shows up. And then we'll start working our way back and doing all the other rides.
This is incredible. You have like a legitimate strategy to how to tackle an amusement park.
Yeah, my family, we've honed it in over the years, over the almost 20 years.
Well, if you've been to like 11 unique ones, what, probably like 30 times at
Yeah.
least?
Something
you
like
have to.
that. Yeah.
Are there any like lesser known parks that you would suggest someone visit? Or I mean, I guess famous ones too, but I'm kind of looking for that diamond in the rough, the one that's the sleeper park.
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like so Six Flags, I feel like people kind of just think that they're all pretty similar. But I will say the Six Flags in Los Angeles or right outside, I think it's in like Valencia, California. They have a lot of unique coasters to like the Six Flags franchise. Like they don't have all of those coasters in other Six Flags. So that one, like I said, we were going out to California and we're just like, why not? So we went. And it was really like a great experience. It's like one of the best ones in terms of variety of coasters. Like I said, Cedar Point is like the mecca. So if you want high thrill and you want to do it a lot, Cedar Point is the place to go. If you want an intro into amusement parks, roller coasters, Worlds of Fun in Kansas City, Missouri is good. It's good. Like my family's definitely graduated from the rides there. But every once in a while when we go back, it's just like, oh, this is like I said, the nostalgia factor. Like we've done it, we've done them. They're fun to be on, but they're good.
At Paul.
Yeah.
I was actually recently in Kansas City. I wish I had known.
Yeah.
Alex, I'm kind of wondering, you've obviously been going to amusement parks for so long. Has your like strategy or perception changed of amusement parks at all since you were a kid?
Not really, to be honest. Like I feel like it's always kind of been like the same. I never enjoyed like the idea of a theme. Like I don't need a theme park. I need high thrill rides. I will say, so my family does really like water rides. I do not. So when I go with my family,
So
we're always
anti-water.
I am. I really am. I don't like being damp. Like I don't like having anyway. So my family, we always have to like build in the time to go on these water rides, which aren't open the entire day normally. They will like close as it starts getting dark. which means we ride them and then your clothes are wet, your socks are wet, and then you have to walk around the rest of the day in wet clothes and socks. And I just don't like it. So when I go without my family, I like avoid water rides like the plague. I like will not go on them. But otherwise, like, you know, despite one of my favorite rides being at Universal Studios, which is all about theme, like they're building their coasters around movies and everything. I would rather just walk up to the ride and I don't even care what its name is. I just want to get on and I want the adrenaline rush and that's it. And that's kind of how I've always been. So,
How do you feel about like when lines are long, but they do their best to like make the line entertaining by having like little games and stuff, little attractions during the line? How do you feel about that? Because I feel like those are usually very themed, but
yeah, I think it's fine, but like the issue with that is that a lot of times like you are stuck in one spot until the next like group of people gets sent onto the coaster. And so you're in that spot and then you don't walk super far and they can't like change your experience very much. I don't know how to explain this the best, but like you're really like hearing the same thing over and over again for sometimes an hour, which is like
yeah, it's
irritating.
tough. Yeah, it's tough.
So I will say there was like a very definite shift when, do you know that game Heads Up on
Oh
your
yeah,
phone?
on your phone.
Like
Mhm.
literally when that game came out and we went to an amusement park as a family for the first time, I swear to God, like everyone in line was playing that game with their group of people.
Oh,
Like
okay.
everyone
Yeah.
had their phones. Like that was the game to play, standing in line waiting for your ride, which I thought was hilarious. And so of course my family did the same thing because we're followers.
So do you guys have any new games that you played? Like have you transitioned that, your like line waiting strategy?
Well, personally, I am a big reader, and so I just have my phone and I'll just read my book on Kindle.
Okay.
Much to my fiance's like annoyance. He's like, "Why won't you just talk to me?" I'm like, "Okay, let's talk. What do you want to talk about?" And then we'll talk for like 30 seconds and then we're still in line. So,
You're like, okay, let's talk. So clearly, would be rather reading your book on your phone.
You're like,
that's
well,
me.
my book's
Fine.
about.
Right? I know. I just start talking about my book. And then, because then I'm like, well, at some point, most rides, you have to like get rid of the phone. You have to either, a lot of rides will integrate like lockers that you put them in, or like you have to set them off to the side. Sometimes you have to do it before you even get in line, which I think is kind of wild. But sometimes you don't have the phone. So that's the time that I spend talking. But otherwise, I'm reading my book.
That's perfect. Alex, I was kind of wondering too. It seems like you're all about the rides, but how do you feel about amusement park food? Are you pro amusement park food or anti amusement park food?
I I have no strong opinions about amusement park food. I will say most amusement parks do a really good job of integrating variety. Like you can find pretty much any type of cuisine, which I think is really interesting at most parks. So like if you want, and sometimes they'll even have just like regular restaurants. Like I've been to like Worlds of Fun, they have like Panda Express. And so when we go to Worlds of Fun, like we know we're getting Panda Express. So
Sounds great.
yeah. And then other parks like Six Flags, they'll do kind of like this meal deal almost where like you pay a flat price and then every 90 minutes you can get like a meal or snacks, which actually works out very well for a family of 5. Like 2 or 3 of us will be the ones with the wristbands and then we'll go and like get a meal and then between the 5 of us we'll share like 2 or 3 meals.
Insider tricks here. This is
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly.
Okay. All right. Now you know.
Yeah, which is good. Like it's very cost effective and like the food and like it's amusement park food. It's not going to be like high quality, but you got to eat cuz you're walking around so much. You got to drink a lot of water, we drink mostly Diet Coke, but a lot of fluids, I guess. So, yeah.
Okay. Do you have any like particularly fond memories of any kind of amusement park trip? Anything special happen?
I mean, I think that like the one that stands out the most to me is my most recent trip to Universal Studios because I got to go with Blake. And like I was saying, themes aren't really my thing, but Universal Studios has the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And I have never met a bigger Harry Potter fan than my fiance Blake.
So wholesome.
Yes, he will regularly just watch the movies in the background while he's studying. He just loves it. and he had never been before. I had been once. So getting to watch him see it for the first time was kind of like very heartwarming to me.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And he does like roller coasters. He's not like a huge fan of them. He has like some back issues that prevents him from enjoying some of the higher intensity ones. But the ones that you can go on at Universal Studios, specifically in like the Harry Potter world, are really good for that. So they tell a story always. And he just really loved seeing that. He'd get off a ride and he'd be like, they did that so well. That was so entertaining. And I'm standing there like, yep, no big drop.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's and shout out. I mean, this all comes back to the smooth roller coaster ride, right? Like you don't want the rickety one that's just going to
Right.
cause more back problems. Like, yeah, let's go for the smooth one. Like the one that
Exactly.
tells a story too. I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering. I gotta ask. Have you ever lost your keys out of your pocket during a loop de loop?
Nope, I have not. I am big on I nothing in my pockets, Some people try to risk it. They've got their hat, they've got their sunglasses, whatever the case. I will never because what do you do? What do you do when you are in Sandusky, Ohio, and all you have is your minivan and you lose your keys and you don't have a spare? Like what do you do?
Yeah, you're done for. Like,
Exactly. I don't want to lose my phone. These things are expensive. Like I will always put stuff away and then I get in line and I see people with their phones past the point where we're supposed to have them and I'm just like I have no sympathy for you if that thing falls out. And you hear about these people who they'll lose it and then they'll end up going into the restricted area and bad things happen. Like there are signs up for a reason. Like just put your phones away, put your keys away. Don't run the risk of having to lose that and not get it back in a timely manner.
that's definitely good advice, Alex. Um, yeah, I'm kind of like I'm thinking that there was this time I went to Universal Studios. I think it was Universal. They have Jurassic, right?
Yeah.
Jurassic Park. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And someone brought their phone on there was like it was like a water raft kind of
Mm-hmm.
coaster, and so we were going up to the big drop, like it was chugging up, and someone was filming it like while they were chugging, and then like there was Jurassic Park theme music going on all around us, and then the ride itself actually like paused, and the ride operator went over the microphone and was like, "Sir in the front, please put your phone away. Please put your phone away." And he just kept it up, and then we sat there for like probably like 45 seconds, honestly, as the operator kept on telling this guy to put his phone away, and finally he puts it in his pocket, and then we go on the drop. But I was like, that kind of sucks. Like that ruined the that ruined the
Yeah.
ride for me. So I bring this up to say I also have no sympathy if you bring your phone on a coaster with you
Yeah.
because it
Don't be
ruined
that
my
guy.
experience. Do not be that guy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And like the reality is, if you drop it, it becomes a projectile. Like the
Yeah.
whole idea, like, don't put someone else in danger because you want to record something. Where most parks have point of view videos that you can find on YouTube. You don't need your own.
Yes. Yes. Again, good
This is
shout out.
another version of the recording fireworks or recording concerts. Like,
Right.
what's
Like,
the point?
yeah, you're just ruining the view for someone else. Like,
Whoever like shows a video of fireworks or concerts or the amusement park rides and be like, "This is awesome! I'm so glad I
Maybe
have
that
this on my
Hagrid one,
phone."
though.
And yeah, actually, that's a good fair point. Alex, obviously, this podcast is about jumping into a new hobby, a new passion every week. So, what's kind of the elevator pitch for why should someone pick up amusement parks?
yeah, absolutely. It is a bit of an investment. It's not cheap to go to an amusement park, but you are getting a full day of thrill and, like the name says, amusement. So I think if you can get a group of people together who just really enjoy spending some time, you're going to spend some time in lines, you're going to have to, talk and hang out and everything, but getting on a ride and just having that level of anxiety that then you get to experience some thrill afterwards, there's nothing like it. Like you can go and do a bunch of other things, but to be able to be in an environment like that with people who enjoy a ride is just, there's nothing that compares to it. So get a group of people together, go to your closest Six Flags, wherever it is, and just have a good time.
Awesome, Alex. I love the way you phrased that, which was you're seeking thrills and bring some people because you're gonna have to spend some time in line together. You're gonna have to talk to them. So
Unless you bring your Kindle.
Right.
Yeah, or just bring your Kindle. Great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Alex, do you have any plugs, either personal or any like YouTube creators you want to give a shout out to, or any parks in particular you want to give a shout out to?
No personal plugs, but I do love, like I said, the point of view YouTube videos that you can find online. Those are really great. If you just want to either relive a roller coaster that you've ridden or kind of get an idea of what you're getting yourself into before you go to a park, all of the parks that I've been to, they do a really good job of just like putting out there on their website the rides you can see, like what to expect, parking, all of that kind of stuff. So always going ahead of time and like looking into that kind of thing before you go to a park. And a lot of them have apps, which is really nice, and they have actually very reliable wait times. So my family will use that a lot. So the apps, the websites, the YouTube channels, and then there are some really good YouTube creators. I don't know off the top of my head that just like go over almost like the mechanics of a roller coaster. That's how I kind of know the phrases like inverted, winged, like that sort of thing, which is fun if you're really into that kind of thing. So
these are some amazing like tips and tricks. I feel like you have such an insider point of view that, yeah. So get the app, use your reliable wait times to guide yourself through the park. Yeah, I think that's amazing. Anyway, Alex, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks guys. This is great.
Yeah, maybe we can go on a roller coaster sometime, and who knows, maybe we can even throw the teacups in for Paul. So
perfect.
Oh,
yeah.
appreciate that.
Paul, make your way out here. We'll go to Six Flags.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the This Week I'm Into podcast. Huge thank you to Alex Hruby for sharing her passion on amusement parks. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future topics, please reach out at thisweekiminto@gmail.com and give us a follow on Instagram at thisweekiminto. Please rate us 5 stars and share this episode with a friend. We're doing our best to grow the podcast, and your help really goes a long way. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
Okay, Cons, we recorded that entire episode while waiting in this line. Does that not go to show I've probably waited here a little too long? I'm also getting this sinking feeling in my stomach that's making me a bit scared to want to go on this ride now.
You're right. That wait was a bit long, but we could have played Heads Up instead. I know you don't read, so the recording was a good alternative. But really, Paul, you can't feel it? The energy in the air? The anticipation? We're about to ride the Thunder Screamer. It's the crown jewel of the park.
Yeah, Hans, I feel something. It's called dread. Why did I pay to be strapped in this metal contraption hurled at speeds that I could probably obtain on those teacup rides over there?
Paul, you've got to give up on the teacups, man. You might be too tall for that ride now. Roller coasters are the perfect mix of adrenaline and engineering genius. You like physics, right? The twists, the turns, the weightless drops. It's like flying without wings, all using science.
It's also like I signed up for a free chiropractic adjustment I didn't ask for.
Oh, come on. Did you know roller coasters are scientifically designed to give you a rush of endorphins? That's pure, non-controlled substance happiness. Plus, this ride has a 90-degree vertical drop followed by a triple corkscrew. Pure magic.
Magic, huh? I call it a recipe for screaming louder than when I watched the Goosebumps in the 3rd grade.
And look around us. Everyone here is buzzing with excitement. Families bonding, friends laughing. It's the great equalizer. You can't be sad on a roller coaster, Paul. It's impossible.
Fine, but why am I sweating through my shirt before we've even gotten to the front of the line?
I think that might just be a you thing.
Oh, awkward.
Paul, trust me. The Thunder Screamer is 100% safe and 200% fun. Plus, they even have photos at the end to capture our victory poses. You can frame yours next to that time you finished a whole pizza by yourself. I'll even edit out the sweat stains.
Alright, Hans, you've convinced me, but if I throw up, it's going on your shoes.
Here we go, Paul. Front row seats for maximum thrill.
Front row? Oh, great. Let me update my will real quick.
Look at the view, Paul. Isn't it incredible?
I'll let you know if I can ever open my eyes.